shortly briefly present you.
Okay, my name is Leila Aboulela. I am originally from Sudan. I moved to Scotland in my mid-20s, and I started to write because I found myself homesick for Sudan. And I also felt that people around me didn't know much about Sudan, and they had like negative ideas about Muslims, about Sudanese, about Africans. And this made me it triggered in me a desire to to kind of like write and express myself, and to show people what I knew, what I had been brought up with. So I started writing then, and I've continued.
Yes, good. That's a fact that, yes, in Europe or of a country or continent, yes, they have a bad image of Africa and African people. And yes, I can understand what when you say that they have not the good image of the country. And yes, and that the fact that Sudan, even for me, when I hear about Sudan, it's about the war and the problem in the country, not always on the positive aspect. And I discover another aspect of the country in your books, and yes, that was really interesting to have this image.
Yes.
And so, yes, as I tell you, we will discover your books at museum. And yes, you already tell us that you start to write because people have a bad idea, but is it also why you write the museum?
Yes, it was really the homesickness that made me write, and I started writing short stories first because I didn't have the confidence to write a whole big novel. So I was writing, short stories, and finding that satisfying that I would finish something short and then show it to people, get a feedback, and all that. And so that what you've got now is really some of the first things that I had written. The stories like Colored Lights. That's one of the about the woman in the bus, and she's remembering her brother who died in Sudan and all that. That was actually one of the first stories I ever wrote.
Okay.
And yeah, and the ostrich also, that was one of the stories that I first wrote. And the museum itself was one of the it came up after I had become a little bit more confident. Yeah.
Okay, but that's the fact that it's really short. So because in some minutes we read it, but it's really powerful. I found it really powerful and really rich. A lot, yes, really rich. So a good book.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite writer, African writer?
Yes, I do. I've got many favorite African writers. Buchi Emecheta from Nigeria. She, like myself, she moved from Nigeria to the UK. So, I was reading her stories. I could very much relate to her experiences. There is Ahdaf Suwaif from Egypt. She writes in English. She's like me, Arab background, Egyptian. So again, I felt very much I could relate to her work. Tayyib Saleh from Sudan. Also, he wrote the classic Season of Migration to the North. Abdurazak Gurner, also from Tanzania. I love his books, very poetic, very nice.
I don't know him. But
Oh yeah, you will like his books. Yes.
Okay, good. So yes, a lot of writers.
Yeah.
And do you have a favorite book from them, or another favorite book you read and reread?
So yeah, I like Ahdaf Swift's In the Eye of the Sun. That's one of a favorite book that I read several times, because it's also about this young girl who comes to Britain to study. So she is very much seeing Britain from a kind of perspective and responding to it as well. So that's a book that resonates with me a lot. Yeah.
Okay, good. Interesting to know. So I will add it in my wish list.
Okay.
And what are you currently reading? Do you have some books on your bed table?
Well, actually, I haven't been reading because it's been Ramadan, the month of
Yeah,
fasting.
yeah.
And so I don't read fiction during Ramadan. I usually don't read fiction during Ramadan. So now it's finished. So I'm going to start reading. So I have a whole lot of books that I want to read. I've been looking forward to read. And one of them is a new book by Nadifa Muhammad. It's called The Fortune Men.
Okay.
And I'm doing an event with her. She's going to be launching. It's a new book. It hasn't been published yet, so it's just coming out in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So
Okay, good.
That
So
feels good. Yes.
you will be the first readers of the book.
One of the first. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And so yes, when you write, do you have some habits? Do you listen for some music, or you just want to be in a quiet place and no one disturbing you?
I want to be in a quiet place. Yeah, very much. Yes. I don't like being I can't write like in a coffee shop or anything like that. I have to be like really, really alone. My study doesn't have a chair, so my family don't feel welcome. So it's very much like very sort of focused, very private. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but I think that we all have our habits, and yes, sometimes some people need some sound around them, but
That's true.
it's a quiet place.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And we talk quite about Sudan and your childhood there. But what does it mean for you to be African in general?
I think Sudan is like in the middle between Africa and Arab. It has this dual identity.
Yeah.
And the reality is that sometimes it's Sudan is not Arab enough for the Arabs, so that the Arabs will think of the Sudanese as like, oh, you don't really belong to us. And also the Africans might think, oh, the Sudanese are not really Africans like us. So I think Sudan has this this kind of dual identity. And I personally think that that people should embrace both. I don't think that people should give up something. Maybe like yourself, when you have the dual identity, it's better to have both. It's better not to to leave one. And but this is harder though. It's easier to commit to one. But you lose out something which is in yourself.
Yes,
exactly. You're not being true to yourself. It's better to keep the two and try and keep them balanced, which is more of a challenge. But then you're being more honest with yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And what for you represents the best Sudan as culturally and culinary?
Oh, culture and culinary. I think the food wise, we have a very good peanut salad.
Yeah, okay.
So you can make it in Sudan. They use peanuts and they crush them into a paste. But here in the West, we can use peanut butter. So if you have peanut butter, you mix the peanut butter with lime juice, water, garlic, tomatoes, green peppers. You cut them all up, and you put a bit of water if you find the mixture is too thick. So then you come up with like a very nice salad, which is very healthy because it's got the peanuts in it. It's vegetarian. It's very, very delicious.
Okay. So you talk about it in the
I did.
minute.
Okay. Yes. Yes, I talk about it in the minute. Yes, that's
Yes,
true.
a lot of food. You just, but I only read two of your books now. I hope and I will read more later. But in Minaret, you talk about a lot of food, and I was looking. Oh, what is that? Or what is that? And the peanut salad. I was telling
Yeah,
me that I will try it because
that's
it
so
seems delicious.
yeah, that's right. And what about the beauty things? We have a process in Sudan which is kind of like traditional steaming.
Mhm.
So there's a hole in the ground. So people will have a hole in the ground, and in the hole they put a fire. They put like wood, and then they put a lot of also perfume, herbs, and then the woman would sit over the hole, wrapped in a blanket, without her
Okay.
clothes,
Yeah.
and wrapped in a blanket, and then the
To
steam
be
goes.
in Pregate with the.
Yes, yes, and then the steam goes all over her body. So it's really quite I think it's very soothing, of course, to be with the steam and the warmth, and very relaxing. But it's also you get the perfume into the body, and it's very good for the skin. There's lots of beauty rituals in Sudan,
Mhm.
actually.
Yes, it
Uh,
seems.
there's lots of things like that, but a lot of them with the skin related one are all very sophisticated. And the weather in Sudan, and especially in the winter, can be very drying for the skin.
Mhm.
So a lot of women use sesame seed oil for their skin. They use a lot of there's a lot of emphasis on the moisturizing, of
Okay.
the skin and
Yeah.
of the hair as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So, lot of secrets
A lot
from.
of secrets, a lot of secrets. Yes, yeah.
We will start with the museum. But do you advise to read another and to start to read your different book, or we just pick and we read?
If you want a book that's very much about Sudan, because that's what you're interested, so
Yeah.
I would recommend my novel Lyrics Alley.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
Lyrics Alley is set in Sudan. The thing with Bird Summons is that it's set in Scotland.
Okay.
So there is no Sudan in Bird Summons. There's just, I mean, one of the characters is Sudanese, but there's no reference to Sudan or anything. So if you really want, a kind of a deeper, a whole novel about Sudan, then Lyrics Alley
Lyrics Alley is
is
good.
the one. Yeah, that's the one about
Okay.
Sudan. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Leila. So I think that I have yes, ask you what I plan. It was
Okay.
really interesting to talk with you, and really thank you for accepting this, because I just contact you on Instagram. You don't know me, and you say
Yes.
okay, that's that's fine. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Welcome. Best wishes with your project. Yeah, all the best with your project. Okay.
Thank you. So looking forward to reading you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank
Leila.
you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.